Hey guys, Dan here with your masked singer guesses for the week. We have finally hit the Super 9, which means 3 from Group A, 3 from Group B, 3 from Group C, and only one of them went home this week, but from the sound of it, I think they're going to start sending 2 next week because Nick Cannon mentioned that they're going to do their Battle Royale thing starting next week. Although he did say only 4 were going to perform next week. So maybe only 1 does go home. I don't know. I mean, the way things are with the coronavirus, I mean, they may as well try and stretch this out as long as they can. Although, since it's in front of an audience, I would guess all the segments have already been recorded. Like, I know America's Got Talent and American Idol had to shut down before they got to the live shows. So they're, like, scrambling to figure out what they're going to do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about this week's show. We said goodbye to one of our people who I have called from the very, very start, week 1. So let's get into it. So right up top there, we had 3 new clues about the groups as a whole, the 3 people left in the group. So Group A, 15.4 million Instagram followers between the 3 of them. Group B, all of them have been interviewed by Oprah, that makes sense, and Group C has 7 Grammy nominations combined. B and C I didn't actually look up. A, though, I looked up, and my guesses are right on the money. I think except for the Rhino, who I still am really thrown on, I think I know everybody that is on the show. And some of that is thanks to you guys for sort of leading me in one direction or another over the weeks. So how this was presented was Group A sang 1, 2, 3, then Group B 1, 2, 3, Group C 1, 2, 3, and then each one they picked one person, the audience did, to be in the bottom 3 at the end of the show. Or I guess they voted for their favorites, and then the one with the least amount of votes got put in the bottom 3. So we'll go through all of that. Let's get started here with the first person, which was the turtle. Also, I gotta show you. My notebook is now just like, I mean, it's completely filled. Like, and this is just 2 of the people. I've split the page into 2, and it's just like, it's just writing everywhere. All right, so the turtle, basically, most of the clue packages this week were sort of a reminder of the history of these people. There weren't any, like, specific clues in there. Like, for example, JoJo Siwa the 1 week had, like, a little boomerang on a couch. It wasn't like things like that. It was just the person sort of talking about their experience, and then they would roll video from some of their past performances, and then it would end with what they called a super clue. And then after they performed, since it's April Fool's, and there were a ton of hilarious April Fool's gags on the show this week, they all said something that may fool you about them. So it's something that they're not. So the turtle sang Higher Love from Steve Winwood. In the clue package, he did say he's been wearing 40 pounds of weights when he works out, which is 1/4 of his body weight. He said he's also not a trained dancer, and for his super clue, he held up a video, or a DVD, I should say, package of a movie called Shell Boy, which obviously he's the turtle, so it's a play off of that. And then what he's not, he said he is not known for just one thing. So I actually wrote down who the judges guessed this week, so we can go off of that. I think they're way off. Robin guessed it was Drew Lachey from 98 Degrees. Ken guessed Brian Luttrell from the Backstreet Boys. Nicole guessed Nick Lachey, also from 98 Degrees. And, of course, Nick and Jessica, Newlyweds. And Jenny guessed Chris Evans because she's an idiot. Chris Evans is not doing this show. It's Jesse McCartney. You guys steered me in that direction weeks and weeks ago. I was thinking maybe it was somebody from New Kids on the Block, maybe a Joey McIntyre, but the clues all add up over the course of time for Jesse McCartney. And I don't know specifically about Not Another Teeny Clue. I don't think he was in Not Another Teen Movie, but he's done movies, and so that's the DVD, I guess, portion of it. Just in general, and then not known for one thing. Well, I think a lot of us know him as a singer, but he spent 3 years on a soap opera. I think it was All My Children, and he has done acting gigs throughout the years and a lot of voiceover work too. He was one of the voices on Alvin and the Chipmunks when they did that movie. So Jesse McCartney is for sure the guest there. I think it's a good one. Up next was the Kangaroo. So she said in the clue package that she's been, vilified by rumors in the past. Her super clue was she held up a kangaroo doll, which nobody seemed to really know what that meant. And for her not, she said, contrary to what the panel has been thinking, she has never lived in Australia. So that rules out Iggy Azalea that Robin had been thinking. Jenny thought it was maybe Amber Rose. Nicole thought it could be Leanne Rimes. Neither of those are terrible guesses. Robin thought it might be India Irie. I don't really hear that from the voice. And Ken was not shown guessing on camera. What that means is I assume he probably made a guess, but for time, they edited it out. So you guys have brought me around on this. I forgot this when I was sort of doing the recap last week of who I could remember from groups A and B. And you guys have led me in this direction of Jordan Woods, who I'm not really familiar with, but I was thinking Jordan Sparks for several weeks, and many of the clues do add up, but some do not, and most majorly, the voice does not match up. Jordan Sparks, I should say, has an amazing voice. She won American Idol, and I know many of her songs. I think I would recognize her voice if I really thought it was her. Jordan Woods, I don't know. I've never heard of until, 2 months ago when you guys suggested it. So, over the course of the day, I sort of looked her up with the new clues and stuff, and makes sense to me that it would be her. She came from a good old reality background. With the Kardashians, there was a big falling out, I guess, with her and Kylie or Kendall or something like that. So that explains all the tabloid rumors and stuff, and wanted to put herself in the spotlight again. So, and she sang, by the way, Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks. So third was the White Tiger. He was sent home this week, so we'll get back to him. But, yeah, we'll get back to him. Let's just move on here to Group B, and we'll talk about everything else in a little bit here. So, first up for Group B was the Kitty. And here's another one. I had sort of forgot what some of you guys had said on the comments. One person specifically who comments every week, and thank you so much for it, because you always, open my eyes. There's 3 or 4 of you, actually, that almost every week comment, and have definitely changed my mind on some of these people, for sure. And this is one of them, because I never would have thought of this girl. Jackie Ivanko is who the guesses have been from you guys, well, at least one of you specifically. And I have definitely come around on that, and I sort of forgot last week when I did the recap. I was still on the Christina Ricci train, but I had forgotten the one thing that that hit home for me was when she gave Robin Thicke the bracelet the one week that said fireworks on it, and her explanation was, when we met, it was lit. And so what you guys had said in the comments is that she was lighting the Christmas tree one year with Robin Thicke, like the LA Christmas tree or whatever. So that to me makes sense, but also the clues this week made a lot of sense too. So basically, she her super clue was Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year. That makes sense for her because of her Christmas albums. And then for her, what I'm not, she was not dreaming when Robert Redford helped land her first movie role. Well, Robert Redford directed and starred in a movie called The Company You Keep, and Jackie Ivanko was apparently a supporting role in that movie. I saw the movie when it came out, but I didn't know who she was, so I don't think I would have picked up on it. But after the clue, I looked up Jackie Ivanko, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right, to be honest. It could be Ivancho or something, or Ivancho, but I think it's Ivanko. But I just literally Google searched Jackie Ivanka, Robert Redford, and Company You Keep came up that she was in the movie. So, I mean, all the clues match. Not one person on the panel has ever said that this is her the entire time. Their guesses tonight, well, she sang It's All Coming Back to Me from Celine Dion, which, first of all, you got to be a good singer to do Celine Dion, and she is an opera singer, basically, like a classical opera singer. She won America's Got Talent, I think, like the first or second year. Like, that's basically what that's how she got famous, and then she's sold millions of records, and Christmas has been a big part of that. Robin thought it might be Emma Roberts, which makes sense with the Robert Redford clue. Ken thought it was Avril Lavigne because she said something in the package about having a complicated life. Ken's an idiot. Jenny thought it was Vanessa Hudgens, which wasn't a terrible guess. And Nicole Scherzinger said it was Nicole Richie, based on maybe the Robert Redford connection with Nicole Richie's dad, Lionel Richie. Most of those were okay guesses, but I think with all the clues that we've gotten thus far, thanks to your help in the comments, I believe this is Jackie Ivanko. And these people in Group B all have been interviewed by Oprah. I don't know Oprah well enough to say who's been interviewed and who hasn't, with, a few exceptions. Obviously, I know Tom Cruise with the jumping on the couch, and I know she was a big friend of John Travolta's and everything, but this is the exact kind of person that Oprah would have on her show all the time. A classic opera-type singer that won America's Got Talent at, like, 11 years old or whatever. That screams Oprah to me. So all of that makes sense for that. Up next was the banana. So this week the clues were, let's see. Well, they kept saying he's looking for a good time. Nick Cannon said it, and it was said in the package. And he said that he felt really bad about forgetting the lyrics to one of his songs, which was, I think, Achy Breaky Heart. And he said he attributed that to a brain injury in the past. His super clue was that he is a mullet lover. Well, he didn't specifically say that, but he said, business in the front, party in the back. And then for his not, he said he is funny, like the panel thinks, but he is not stand-up funny. And he let them know that blue collar has many meanings. These people have been thinking Jeff Foxworthy the whole time. So tonight he sang Sweet Home Alabama. Robin thinks it is Billy Ray Cyrus, mostly due to the mullet thing. Ken and Nicole both think it's Brad Paisley. Nicole had mentioned that last week, which is a possibility. But Jenny McCarthy, my girl Jenny, I know I called her an idiot earlier for one of her guesses, but here she's hit the nail on the head. Finally on this show, somebody thinks it's Bret Michaels. I've been saying this since week 1. Bret Michaels. The clues were all too obviously leaning towards blue-collar comedy tour for those first couple of weeks. Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, all those kind of guys. Not Larry the Cable Guy, because he's obviously a thin dude. But, it just kept going in that direction. But literally every week, more clues have popped up about Bret Michaels. And I am from, a couple towns over from where Bret Michaels grew up and where his dad lived until last year when he passed away. I know a lot about Bret Michaels, and I'm a huge hair metal fan, so I know a lot about Poison. So the whole Nothing But a Good Time thing, they keep talking about that. That's a famous Poison song. The brain injury in the past, that checks the Bret Michaels box. They've talked earlier about him losing his father. That I know is Bret Michaels, and all of that. So it's Bret Michaels. I've been saying it since week 1, so that's my guess for that. The Frog as well, somebody I've been talking about since week 1 with this same person, and I still think it's them. Their big clue was he's a knight in shining armor. He had a stand-up a knight kind of thing in steel. That was about it. But he said the vocal part was, I'm a knight in shining armor. And then for his not, he said, despite what the panel might think, he's not a trained dancer. Which, Robin Thicke pointed out, that's meaningless. He was like, look, that just means you could be naturally gifted and talented in dancing. Nicole pointed out Usher never had any dance training, but he's a great dancer. So, that was kind of a meaningless clue to the panel. The song he did was Jump by Criss Cross. Nicole did not give a guess for that. Ken thinks it's Cisco. Idiot. Jenny thinks it's Little Romeo, which isn't a terrible guess. Robin has been saying Omarion for weeks, which I barely know who that is, but I've been saying Lil Bow Wow all along. Every single clue hits the Lil Bow Wow mark. I don't know what the Knight in Shining Armor has to do with it, but certainly everything up to this week is Bow Wow, and so I'm sticking with Bow Wow. And again, with the Oprah thing, has Lil Bow Wow ever been interviewed by Oprah? Probably. Bret Michaels, I think, was when he had the brain aneurysm. I think Oprah did a show with him about that. So those all make sense. The person that was voted in the bottom three was the banana, but he did not get voted out completely. So up next, Group C, Night Angel was first. And here again, the first week I thought this was maybe Monica, but ever since I've been on board with you guys in the comments, her clue was a tricycle. Which they were thinking maybe indicated a triple threat, or possibly was in a trio, a group of three previously. And then for the not, she said she's not just a voice, she's a mogul, and that all stands to reason as well with all the clues we already have. She sang Rise Up by Andra Day. Robin thought it was maybe Tamar Braxton from the Braxton family, Tony's sister, I guess. Jenny thinks it is Brandy, which is along the lines of the Monica thing. And then Ken thought it was Tisha Campbell from Martin. This is funny to me because last week Robin had said Candy Burst, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. But Robin had floated the Candy Burst thought out there, and now poof, it's gone. But everything to me still adds up for Candy Burris. All of this makes sense for her from the clues that we've already gotten in weeks past that we don't need to go over again. And the whole I'm a mogul thing, I mean, that's kind of what she's all about. She was a singer in the band Escape. Well, they weren't a band, a singing group, Escape. There weren't three of them, there were five of them. So I think the tricycle is more I'm a triple threat. And she even said, like, this is an out-of-the-box clue. Like, she's even said the clue package, like, this isn't a straight-ahead clue, but here's the tricycle. So I think it's Candy Burris. I still think it's her. I've been on her since probably week 2 here. So up next then was the Rhino. This one, dude, I don't know. This is clued out for me. The big clue for him was the music has been a passion since childhood. He's risen up the Billboard charts, and the panel probably has an album of his. So that is an interesting clue. He said what he's not. He's not nearly as tall as we think he is. And for his super clue, the thing about the Billboard charts and the music is a passion, that was just all in his regular package. But the super clue was a Vegas slot machine. So maybe somebody that has lived in Vegas or played a while in Vegas. So Jenny, I wrote Jerry. Jenny McCarthy thinks it's Derek Jeter, which makes no sense. Robin was like, oh yeah, that famous Derek Jeter album that we all have. Nicole thinks it's Vince Gill, because he had talked about marrying somebody and his wife really grounded him. And Vince Gill is married to Amy Grant. Not a terrible guess. He sang What a Man Gotta Do by the Jonas Brothers, by the way, which is a song I'm not super familiar with, but the whole not nearly as tall thing, that kind of plays into some things, because I think we were all thinking real tall, so obviously there's some sort of maybe lifts in the costume or something. Robin's guess was to me the most interesting. He thought it might be Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. Now that would be somebody we certainly would not think of, but everybody probably does have a Guns N' Roses album somewhere, whether it's them or their parents or their siblings. I mean, Guns N' Roses have sold, just in the U.S., probably about 30 million to 40 million records. Their debut, I know, sold almost 20 million by itself. So, that's not the worst guess. I'm not sure what any of the other clues have to do with Guns N' Roses, though. It was a lot of Grand Ole Opry stuff. The Vegas slot machine. Now, Guns N' Roses did have a residency in Vegas, but I don't really know about that either. This is a tough one. This is by far the toughest one. I'm going to stick with who I thought it was last week, and this is all based on your comments. I'd never heard of this person until it was mentioned, and that is Barry Zito. That's all I've got, just because of the sports clues we've gotten before. But he has done some things that have been on soundtrack albums, so maybe he did something on a big soundtrack that was on the Billboard charts. I don't know. So there's that, and then we close the show with our good friend the Astronaut. And here I've written so much, I'm like starting to write like in the margins of the page here, if you can see that. So let's see. His clue was a vinyl record that was broken, and so they were thinking he is a bit of a record breaker, and so I looked up real quick who we've been thinking, which is Hunter Hayes. For a while I was between Hunter Hayes and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but as of last week I thought, no, this is most definitely Hunter Hayes. Hunter Hayes has broken a record. It is the most concerts performed in 24 hours. Or something to that effect, and he's performed 10, and he is in the Guinness Book of World Records. So that still stands up with that. He sang "Never Gonna Give You Up" from Rick Astley, and for his nut, he said he's never had traditional voice training, and the panel all said, well, that's just like the dancing one, that could be anything. Ken thought it was maybe J.C. Chazé from NSYNC. Jenny thought it was David Archuleta, which is not a terrible guess. He was American Idol runner-up one year, and certainly has had some things in his life not be so great, as he was a success so young. And Nicole thought it was Ryan Tedder, who is mostly a songwriter, but I think he's also the lead singer for One Direction. And so they were like, oh, what would the record that he broke? Adele's album 25 broke a bunch of records, and I guess he was the producer of that. So that may be something. It wasn't a terrible guess, but only because no one on the panel has thought of Hunter Hayes this entire time. I think Hunter Hayes is a slam dunk. And the clue for Group C, again, was about the Grammy nominations, right? 7 Grammy nominations combined. Now, I haven't looked up how many nominations Hunter Hayes has had, or Candy Burris, if Escape maybe got one, or she may have gotten one for her solo hit in the early 2000s, for like Best R&B Song or something. And then whoever this Rhino is maybe has some Grammy nominations as well. But the person that was voted in the bottom 3 was the Rhino, but he was not revealed. The revelation was the White Tiger. The clues tonight, let's see. His clue was floss, like the dance move floss, and then a swish, like a basketball swish, which I've been thinking since week 1. It's Rob Gronkowski. Since week 2, I guess. Week 1, I was like, it's definitely an NFL person, and I don't know NFL people that well. But as of week 2, when my brother explained who Rob Gronkowski was, I was like, oh yeah, well that's got to be him then. So I just assumed that super clue was maybe end zone dances that he's done or something. And he said he's not just brawn, he's a brain too. He's written a bestseller. Okay, let me sing I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred. So Ken thought it might be J.J. Watt, who is somebody I had never heard of until he hosted SNL earlier this year. Nicole originally thought Joe Manganiello, and then when it was revealed White Tiger would be going away, she thought it was John Cena, which voice-wise isn't a bad guess, but the clues just don't match up for that. And then Robin and Jenny both thought it was Rob Gronkowski. And Robin specifically, I think, has been saying Rob for weeks now about Group A. So it was indeed Rob Gronkowski. No big shock there. Another easy reveal. But listen, you guys, other than Rhino, I think we've got everybody, from my brain and your comments over the last few weeks. I think we've got everybody. I would not have gotten Candy Burris on my own for sure. I wouldn't have gotten Jackie Ivanko, and I would not have probably gotten Jesse McCartney. Brett Michaels, I've been saying since week 1, and Bow Wow I've been saying since week 1. So those two I've definitely been on since the beginning. Hunter Hayes too. I don't think I would have gotten Hunter Hayes specifically. I don't know enough about it. But here's the other thing with my Jesse McCartney and the Jordan Woods guest. Never would have gotten her because I've never heard of her. But the Group A thing, I wanted to wait till the White Tiger reveal. 15.4 million Instagram followers is what Nick Cannon said. So I counted up all three of the people that I thought were in Group A, even before Rob was unmasked, and they are at 15.6 million Instagram followers, which to me just says, all right, well, this was probably taped weeks ago. Obviously, it was taped before the coronavirus thing. So I would say that probably because people have been talking about Rob Gronkowski and Jordan Woods and maybe Jesse McCartney as well, that their Instagram followers have increased slightly. So it was 15.4 and now it's 15.6. So that all makes sense too. So now that even hammers the point home more that I really think the Kangaroo is Jordan Woods. So I think other than Rhino, we've got everybody. I don't know. Maybe it is Barry Zito. But my brother, who follows sports and everything, he was like, if I would be shocked if they'd have somebody that obscure to non-sports fans, like Rob Gronkowski. I guess I've never heard of specifically, but I've heard the term Gronk before, in terms of like football or maybe commentating, So I at least knew him sort of by his nickname. So I don't know, but yeah, Barry Zito, I don't know, maybe. That's the biggest question mark. I was sort of hoping that they would send the Rhino home because the other 8 I think we've got down here. So comment below. Please let me know anything I missed here. Any thoughts you have further than that. I know this was a longer episode than most of my Masked Singer guesses, but we did have 9 singers for the first time. So next week I think there will just be 4 unless they're going to do another 2 hours again, but I doubt it. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know how Fox's schedule is lately, but anyway, that will do it. So thanks so much, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye.